We are making focaccia. Friends, this recipe is super simple. You don't need any fancy equipment. Literally, I'm gonna be using a bowl. I am gonna use a kitchen scale because it just makes it so much easier. But if you're looking for focaccia that is gluten-free, super easy, and delicious, you have come to the right place. So let me run you through the ingredients that we're gonna need for today. We're gonna be using flour. This is a very special flour made with wheat starch that's gluten-free. I've given this to friends of mine with celiac and they have had no issues, but of course, do your own research. We're gonna be needing active dry yeast, some pink salt, and some water. How simple is that? Let me show you how easy this is to make. We're gonna measure out 500 grams of flour. Perfect. I'm gonna move this bowl and I'm gonna place a smaller bowl here, zero it out. And we are gonna measure out 5 grams of the yeast. Five grams, perfect. Now I'm just gonna move my kitchen scale so you can see. We're gonna take our bowl and we're gonna just sprinkle it right in. We're gonna grab our iconic spatula. If you know me, then you know. Just stir it together. Perfect. Now we're gonna need our kitchen scale again. Instead of 400 grams, we're actually gonna do 450 grams of warm water. 452, I'll take it. Move the scale out of the way. Now we're gonna perfect. We're just gonna add it in. Make sure you're not using hot water. It needs to be like lukewarm, not hot. Now we're gonna take our spatula, but I am gonna put some olive oil on it so it doesn't stick. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's much more of a wet dough, and that's what we want. Now, we're gonna grab our scale again, and we're gonna do 2 measurements. The first is gonna be for salt, and we're looking for 10 grams of salt. Perfect. The next is going to be for olive oil. That's a little too much. I wanted to get 15 grams of olive oil and I got 17, but I'm gonna use a little bit on the spatula, so it's okay. Gonna get our bowl back and we're gonna just add in that salt, add in most of the olive oil, and now we're gonna just stir this together. And I am actually I changed my mind. I'm gonna use my hands for this one. If you've never made focaccia before, it is really simple because it's such a moist dough. It just comes together really quickly, and you can scrape down the sides so you don't waste any of the gluten flour. Now we are simply going to cover it and leave it sitting for 10 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Now I'm gonna take my baking sheet. This is just a half sheet pan. You can use whatever you've got available. And I'm gonna just put a drizzle, a fairly healthy drizzle. And I'm gonna just take a little brush and make sure this whole entire pan is coated because we do not want this dough sticking. And it is going to rise in this pan and bake in this pan, so it couldn't get any simpler. Okay. Are you team focaccia? Have you ever made focaccia? I would love to know. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little bit of the flour. We don't need a lot. And, you guessed it, olive oil. We're gonna take our dough that's been resting for 10 minutes and just turn it out onto the surface. Perfect. Now, I should have done this before I put all this oil on my hands. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually add the herbs. Alexa, turn off my timer. One thing's for sure, I get clean hands. So we're gonna use really 3 spices. We're gonna first add some basil. You can add whatever spices you like. That's about a tablespoon. Gonna add some parsley. About the same for that. And everybody's star in a dish like this, oregano. Now, friends, I need more olive oil. We're gonna just combine this really well. Disperse that olive oil, not olive oil, the spices throughout. Super sticky dough. I need to reload. Okay, so now what we are gonna do is we're gonna transfer this onto the baking sheet, and I'm gonna show you what we do. Now what we're gonna do is spread this dough all the way out. Believe it or not, it doesn't look like it's gonna fit, but I promise it will, and this is gonna rise. Remember that, right? It's gonna rise beautifully because we use the active yeast, the active dry yeast. Because it doesn't have gluten, you can see how, like, the holes, just don't worry about it, just squeeze it together. Even making this out of a dough with gluten, it can do that, but then it starts to relax, like the gluten starts to relax, and then it's just easy to work with. This is just always going to be like this because it doesn't have gluten. So you cannot overwork it, which is actually nice. What I'm doing here is I'm feeling to see, is it uniformly thick? Like, I don't want this side over here to be super thick and then this is super thin. If you feel any clumps, just squeeze them, disperse them, and I'm trying to get it as even as possible. Okay. Then, once you have it pretty even like this is the fun part, friends. Take your fingers and you're simply going to push down. We're creating these little divots. See the little holes? Not holes, impressions. That's the word I was looking for. That looks very, very good. So you can see the impressions that I made with my fingers. Super simple. Then we are simply going to grab a clean towel and just cover it. We're going to set it someplace warm, like out of a draft, to rise for about an hour.
Look at how wonderfully this has risen in only 30 minutes. This is what you want to see, my friends. So hopefully you've been preheating your oven to 450 degrees while this has been rising. Then we are going to, of course, add olive oil. Friends, olive oil is very important with focaccia because we do not want this dough, the focaccia, to turn out dry. Add as much or as little as you like. I love using this brush to get it evenly dispersed inside of those little pockets we made with our fingers by pressing it down. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more because that's where I'm at these days, my friends. But you do you. Also, be sure not to press too heavily with the brush. We don't want to disturb the beautiful rise that we've created. Then we're going to add some salt. I love using flake salt here. Alternatively, you can just put a pinch of pink salt. If you're using regular salt, do not put very much, okay? And then we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes.
After the 30 minutes for the focaccia, what I did was I turned it off and I turned it on broil. We're going to do that for 10 minutes just to increase the depth of color. And then it's ready. We're ready to serve, essentially.
This turned out so incredibly delicious. Look at this. Friends, I lost the footage. I am so sorry with the taste test, but listen. Listen to that crunch. Oh my goodness, you have got to try this recipe. When you make it, please tag me and let me know what you think. I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.